and everyone will benefit. We also, as Cal pointedly brought up, we have created a destination through the rodeo, but that's not the only thing. We have 4 seasons of entertainment right outside our doors, and we can attract a whole different tourism every single season of the year. The #1 business industry in Montana is tourism, and we need to start looking at that, catering to that. How do we do it? We get back to the age-old question. We need to balance our budget. I brought in Montana Main Street's program and gave a long speech. We talked about joining the program and starting a economic development plan and how we would do it. And it died. It died because we couldn't get past our budget issue. And today, as of today, we are currently 4 months past having a budget. That's only, a month past the state requirement. And last year, we were 7 months past having a budget. It really shouldn't be that hard to pass a budget. But again, thanks to the greater community of Darby, and folks that don't live in the town of Darby, they donated with the skybox that we negotiated for the benefit of Darby in order to minimize liability, a great asset, a donation of over $250,000 in value. And for a little town like Darby, our total revenue per year is about $750,000, $750,000. In 1 year, to receive a donation of $250,000 is a huge, huge donation by a great group of people. So I want to thank you and the DRA, Cal. Thank you for that.
Yes, so you'll have to bear with me. I've kind of been reformulating my question after listening to you and to Cal. We also don't live in the 1 square mile. We feel that this is very much our community. We've lived here 13 years. Our kids graduated from the high school here. Coming from a small town out in Washington and my father being involved in small town politics, my question is more, Darby is a small town and the timber industry is gone. I understand that the same small town I came from had that happen. But we are so much bigger than the 1 mile, and so many people who have a lot of influence and want to help this community and have great ideas to help bring back industry and change how we move forward so that we can meet the budget issues that we have or that we're going to have. They have really great ideas, and I know living outside the community, we feel like sometimes we don't have a voice in that. We're set aside. Oh, you don't live in the city limits. You're not part of the 700. And I understand that within city government there are constraints to who can vote and who can't, who can be represented, and there's chambers of commerce. But again, we live in a very rural area where sometimes that's hard to do. We don't live close to, say, Missoula, where the chambers are big and strong and can help serve their outlying communities. And so my question to you would be, what would be possible to maybe just make the rest of the outlying community feel involved, whether it's an ad litem advisor for those of us who live outside the city, who have a voice, who can voice our concerns to you, to the city council, who can be a part of the solution. Because if you look at the 1 square mile and you look at the outlying community is the strength and is the way forward for this community. We are the bigger community. It's what we need here, it's what we need as a state, and ultimately it's what we need as a country. Yes. And that's my question to you. How can we bring together the outlying area that is ultimately the heart and soul of our community?
I agree with you 100%. And in my first year of tenure there, I actually reached out to a couple of folks in the audience to create an economic advisory board, which was primarily comprised of people who did not live in the town of Darby. And this committee would get together and try to give advice or counsel or recommendations for the town to help bolster it economically. And it would give, on that committee, it would give the Greater Valley a voice inside the governing of Darby. And within that first year, we got so boiled up on the internal side of governing. We lost 2 employees, a total of 4 council members quit. We were 7 months behind on the budget. we were behind 3 years in audits, is that it just took everything we had just to try to move forward, try to get something done, try to get some work done. I agree with you 100%, and I have faced that same sentiment. You don't live here, you don't get a vote. When we were talking about the wellness center and opening a community-based wellness center in the community, is that was the impetus, is to create a greater South Valley community that would have a voice in how the quality of life benefits would be in Darby, because we're the last economic resource before Idaho. And I think that's a really important thing to work towards. And I would say at the beginning of my tenure, it took a lot of work to change the attitude, which was no at town hall, to try to start saying yes to people when they want to come in and they want to donate time or donate money even, and say yes and try to manage that. So we're not there yet, but I feel it's really important, and I welcome folks like Cal that are dog-headed enough to continue to offer their support over the years. And the Burners, thank you again for your support. So we have to work towards it. We have to continue. In small bites, I was told by Dan Clark, who's the Director of Local Government Services, he says bureaucracy moves at glacier speed. Mm-hmm. So in 2 years, I have one of the shortest terms in Montana as a mayor. And I'm one of the weakest mayors in Montana. I don't vote on council, and I am not the presiding officer of the council. So I am basically a manager of people and resources. That's my entire job. And so I'm trying very, very slowly to get the economics of the town hall squared away, get it running pretty efficiently, and then we can turn outward out of town hall so that we can start creating good policies and inviting other community groups like South Valley Civic Group with the Sacagawea and the Pocket Park, that they can have an impact in our community.
Well, I guess if I can ask a really quick follow-up, I guess my question was, would it be possible, or would it even, I'm not sure if it would be possible legally, but would it be possible to ask the community, could we maybe lead forward, because we live in such a small area and we face issues where the town is so much smaller than the bigger community, would it be possible to research having, maybe they don't have a vote on the city council, but someone who represents those of us outside in the surrounding area, who have children who go to the school district, who own the businesses, who shop here,
Adele, wasn't there a referendum that was put forward trying to give a vote to business owners?
Yes, and it's a legal thing, why it wouldn't work.
Right.
It's based on where you're allowed to vote and how many times you're allowed to vote and tracking that, and that was why it was a no answer.
Right. So from a legal's perspective, no is the easy answer. From the other hand, there is nothing in the town bylaws or the town code that says that committee members must be town residents. So certainly any committee member, we just recently formed a Parks and Rec with Shelby Regala, and she doesn't live in town. She lives out at the West Fork. So certainly any committees, any interested non-residents can come and help form or join a committee, the Parks and Rec, the Trail Committee. And certainly you can have an impact there. The planning board is another good example, is we have non-resident members that are on the planning board. It gives input.
JC, I know you're upset about not having a budget, but you're still way ahead of the federal government.
Oh, yes, we are. Yeah. Our deficit is a whole lot lower.
And you may want to clarify what it means to be a weak mayor.
Sure. The state of Montana, we have a charter, and we have several forms of government, and they literally, it says right in the Montana Code annotated, weak mayor. And it basically means that I don't get to vote on policy. I don't vote on policy. I administrate and I manage the policy decisions that they create.
I know you said in 2008 or 9 they had to borrow $1.5 million to fix, or for some sewer repairs or whatever.
The water system.
Yeah. I have no idea how long that's going to take to pay back, but is that even remotely possible soon And could that money be applied to the future repairs that you say we do need rather, in the next few years?
The debt that we incurred, it's so high, it's not like a house mortgage over 30 years. They amortize it over 50 years, so it's manageable for small communities. And we have literally 40 some odd years to go on that debt. And we pay approximately $70,000, $80,000 per year towards that debt. And like any amortization schedule, it'll be somewhere around year 25 that we start paying more in the debt service than we do in the interest. So for small communities, you just can't generate that amount of cash to come up with it. You have to go borrow the money. In this instance, and this is going to be a little scary, the total project cost was $3.5 million in change. We'll leave out the 50, 60, 70,000 extra. The town of Darby contributed a whopping total of about $70,000, and they got $2 million in grants. And we ended up with $1.5 million in debt service. The problem is, as we know, in the federal and state level, and the county, all the way to the trickle-down theory down to the little towns, is that grant money is not there. It is no longer just easy, free money out there. At the very best, we have what's called a one-to-one match for funding. If I have $1, I can get $1 in grant money. Now, the town of Darby, for our sewer system specifically, the water system's doing fine. We have a nice long life ahead of us for that, but we still need to create some savings for repairs. The sewer system is 60 years old. It's depreciated out. We don't owe any debt on it, and we're saving some money. We have a